with an addicted generation.
This is a big time bomb ticking.
It will get really worse,
right.
Okay? So combine that with the fact, so you have an addicted generation that doesn't have the skill set to ask for help. Combined with the fact that they're so good at Facebook and Instagram, they're good at putting filters on everything. So they're good at showing you how smart and strong they are. These kids who commit suicide, you go look at their Instagrams, you would have no clue that they were depressed because they're happy and they're star athletes, right? You'd have no clue because they're really good. So when we say silly things like, my door is always open, you're assuming they have the courage to come in. Combined with the fact that they're subject largely, not all, but too many, to a failed parenting strategy. Because their parents told them they were special, they could have anything they wanted, they can be anything they want, they got medals for coming in last, which by the way we know doesn't work. It devalues the medal for the one who comes in first, and the one who came in last, it makes them feel stupid because they know they didn't deserve it, right? The kids got into honors classes not because they deserved it, but because the parents complained. And some of them got good grades not because they earned them, but because the teachers didn't want to deal with the parents. And then the kids graduate college, and they get a job, and in an instant, they find out they're not special. They don't get anything for coming in last. Their parents can't get them a promotion, and you can't have whatever you want just because you want it. And in an instant, their entire self-image is shattered. And so you have an entire generation growing up with lower self-confidence than previous generations. So you have lower self-confidence than previous generations, combined with an inability to ask for help with things that you're struggling with, and you turn to social media or a device, you keep checking, you count your likes, you count your likes, you count your followers, and if somebody unfriends you, oh my God, it's trauma, right? The way they break up with each other is they just ghost each other, just cut each other out and stop returning texts and returning phone calls because they don't have the skill set to say, hey, it's not working out, it's not me, it's you, right? There's no closure on things, right? Combined with the fact there's an institutionalized impatience. So they've grown up in a world of instant gratification. And so the problem is, they're accused of being entitled. I don't think they're entitled at all. Not at all. I think they're impatient. I keep meeting these fantastic, smart, driven, ambitious, idealistic, fantastic kids who graduated school, they got a job, they want to make an impact in the world, and I go up to them and say, how's it going? And they say, I think I'm going to quit. I'm like, why? They're like, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months. And it's as if they see the summit of a mountain. It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain, they can see the summit, they can see the thing they want, I want to make an impact. What they don't see is the mountain. This large, immovable object. You can go up fast, you can go up slow, I don't care, but there's still a mountain. What they don't understand is that life, that relationships, and career fulfillment are a journey. There's no app for that. I got nothing. You gotta go through the slow, plodding, annoying, meandering process called career and life. But if they don't get it in 8 months, they go look for it somewhere else. And they don't get it, they go look for it somewhere. It's impatience. And because they don't have the skill set to ask for help, and because they feel lonely, it compounds and compounds.
Solutions for this?
So then yeah, we dump them in office environments that are built on theories from the 80s and 90s that prioritizes a number before a person, and no one really cares about their confidence and their personal growth. They're just numbers on a spreadsheet. And so they enter work cultures that don't help them. And the problem is they're entering the workforce at a deficit. I hear from kids, they tell me that they struggle to form deep, meaningful relationships, and the companies don't care. And so it's destructive to them as individuals, but ultimately it'll hurt the companies because more and more millennials are entering the workforce. I believe, to your point about solution, that now the responsibility on companies is even greater than it's ever been before to take care of its people. Because if the environments in which we're asking our youngest workers to work in isn't built to help them, I can't even imagine what the suicide and homicide and just the rates of depression, and accidental deaths due to overdose are going to look like in the future. It's going to reach epidemic proportions. It's already, the statistics are already alarming, and yet nobody's sounding any alarm bells. Parents have to intervene. We have to stop giving our kids free access to social media and phones at young ages. They are not ready for it. Their minds cannot cope with the dopamine. Balance is fine. You can give a kid a phone, but they can't use it in their bedroom. They can't have it at the dinner table. They can't take it to school. They can only have it up to a certain hour, and you take it away. They're children. You can take the phone away. We've got to intervene as parents. But as companies, we now have to deal with the influx of kids that are coming into our companies with addiction. Watch, I see it all the time. Walk through any office. You'll see the older employees have their phones on the sides of their computers as they're working. You'll see the youngest employees have their phones face up in front of their keyboards between their arms as they're working. And this is how they work. And the science is alarming. They did experiments on mice where they did the multitasking. They put flashing lights to mimic going from the computer to the cell phone, the computer to the cell phone to the TV. The mice that were exposed to the changing lights, it took them 3 times longer to solve a maze than the mice that weren't, and the damage was permanent. It didn't improve when they stopped the lights.
This is intense. And the leadership now is even more important than ever.
And leadership now is even more important.
Yeah.
And the leaders now are even more irresponsible. You are responsible for the lives of human beings, and some of these human beings are your children. So, okay.
Leadership is important. Welcome to Mom Talk. Today's topic, the entitled generation. Very much related to the peace learning, parenting, peace learning journey, raising a culture and generation who believes in peace learning as a journey, who believes in taking time and being more patient in connecting and making those conscious decisions. Today, my guest, my dear friend, ShirinYadegar, founder of LA Mom Magazine, and lovely, I almost want to say co-host. We've been doing this for so long.
No, you're amazing.
I love having you on
Thank
Mom
you
Talk.
for having me. You always teach me so many things. Always had great topics to talk about. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So let's talk about this hot topic.
This hot topic.
The entitled generation, our children, the millennial, even us in a way. I mean, I'm not a millennial. I was born in the 70s, but those who are born in the 80s and on, you fit under this, group of the entitled generation. So how do we bridge the gap, intergenerational, intercultural, and living here in Los Angeles, in the city of angels, where I feel like we struggle with this issue, a lot.
Yeah, I think I think parents in any big metropolitan city struggle with this. Our kids want everything instantaneously. They want it now. They don't want to wait. And I think this impatience is leading to spoiled, entitled, what you have it. And he said it perfectly. The video clip you just showed was, maybe they're not so entitled, but they're really impatient. And so instant gratification, I think, is a problem. So as parents, I think we try so hard to give our kids everything right away, You want it, hurry up, you're a good mother if you give it to them right away. But I think what we're doing is really crippling them. Teach them to take a moment. It's okay, be patient, wait in the line. It takes time to get to the next level, and patience will then, I think, help our kids not be spoiled and not be entitled in many ways.
Yeah. And the conversations that we have with our children, this is the peace learning journey, okay? It's a conversational, connectional experience. So if you take time to have a deep conversation with your child, little ones, as little as preschool, they understand, they get it, why it's important to have delayed gratification. The marshmallow study at Stanford, one of the most famous studies where they asked children to wait and get 2 times the treat, the marshmallow, or they can have it now and they will have just 1. That study is one that children understand, they get, and you can have a deeper peace learning conversation with your children. The conversations start early. It's really unfortunate that as parents, we have all this wonderful knowledge, information. We know so much, and yet we don't connect and share and talk and take moments and time to really deepen our children's understanding of why.
Well, I think you're
Why?
right. You're right. And I think it's very challenging with technology now because everyone is hiding behind the guise of a screen.
Yeah.
And rather than putting all our electronics away and having one-on-ones, we're saying, all right, well, I'm reading this article, you're reading that. All right, we're all good. We've done our job. But we haven't. I think we're really hurting our children. And you're right. The one-on-ones are important. It's important to get down to the level of your 5-year-old, get on your knees, eye to eye, and talk to your child about what's going on. You had a rough day on the playground. You couldn't go on the slide. Were there 10 girls waiting in front of you? Did you have to wait? But then when you got down the slide, wasn't it great? I mean, to us, that seems so trivial, but it's something that's a big deal in a 5-year-old's life. And so we need to take those little moments and talk about those things and put those screens aside. I think it is so important to have those conversations, like you said. Very important.
So 2 key variables here, and I'm going to take some time to translate because it's very, very important, especially as part of your peace learning journey, okay? 2 key elements here. عجله یا با عجله تصمیم گرفتن، انتخاب عجولانه, impatience, number 1. And number 2, technology. امروزه به خاطر استفاده کردن از تلفنامون، از کامپیوترامون، از لپتاپامون، ما با اینکه پروداکتیویتی و فعالیت هامون بسیار زیاد شده، با اینکه روی سوشال میدیا من اینجا با شما در ایران در تماس هستم و با هم دوست هستیم و با هم مکالمه میکنیم، این درسته که بخشیش خیلی کمک میکنه که ما رو به هم نزدیکتر بکنه، ولی در کنارش برای اون روابطی که در عمل من و شما حضوراً داریم میتونه به اصطلاح مشکل بیاره و میتونه به اصطلاح یک نوع چالشی باشه. چرا که اگر شمای مادر، من مادر در رابطم با کودکم، تلفنم دستم هستش، وقتی که من تلفنم رو اینجوری تو دستم گرفتم و دارم با دوستم صحبت میکنم یا با کودکم، با فرزندم صحبت میکنم، به اون این پیامو میدم که تو اونقدر مهم نیستی. So when I get this, you know, immediately we feel, oh, like there's someone else now in the relationship.
Right.
But if I put this down, اگه اینو بذارم زمین و بگم که خب الان نوبت توه، الان با هم صحبت بکنیم یا وقت و کوالیتی تایم با هم استفاده بکنیم، این به اون این پیامو میده که تو مهمی، من الان حضور دارم، حضور ذهن دارم و میخوام با تو رابطه داشته باشم. این از اون چالشایی هستش که اگر ما این قدم بسیار کوچیک و ظریف رو برداریم، خیلی میتونیم کمک بکنیم در پرورش صلح در خانواده و جامعه‌مون. بنابراین اگر کمپانی کار میکنیم، این رو پیشنهاد بکنیم. بخشی از لیدرشپ میتونه باشه. اگر در منزل مادر و پدر هستیم، ما همه لیدر هستیم. من مادر، شمای مادر, we are the leaders, right? And so in that context, we have to be soul leaders and conscious leaders and push through.
Yes.
Okay? So be present. Put your devices away. Having meals where it's device free.
100%. We
Right?
have a box.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you come home from school or work, that phone goes into the box.
You, your husband, everyone.
Everyone. My eldest has a phone, so she as well. My other ones obviously don't. And there's no technology in the house during the week unless you're doing homework. But you come in, there's a box, you throw it all in there. And then you can have meaningful conversations. There is no way that anyone in my house is going to have technology at a dinner table. That is sacred. So as a leader in my house and as the mother, I'm telling you that I'm giving you my time and I want your respect and your time back. There's nothing. Even if the house phone rings, no one answers it. We're there to have this sacred meal together and to talk about our day and life. And I think it's really important. And I think everyone should adopt the theory of this box because you put it in and everyone knows they come in and it goes in. Otherwise, my husband, I don't know if your husband's the same way, but there's work all the time and there's emailing and how rude. I mean, really, we're trying to teach our kids to sit down and have respect. And then, you know, one of the parents is on the phone. That's not okay.
Yeah. But I think having a balanced view, this is where, you know, I've been in situations. I was just in a situation this past weekend. We were out of town. We're at some dinner with friends, lots of kids, lots of families. And the couples, you know, as couples, we wanted to socialize. We wanted to be together. And the kids, it was later dinner, which is not a good idea with kids who, have early bedtimes. But so we were there. It was situational, totally situational. And they asked for a couple of phones because they wanted to play some games and share.
Sure.
And it was entertainment for them.
But you're on vacation, and
yeah,
so rules
yeah.
are off when you're on vacation.
Okay.
That's different.
But you can be vulnerable, is what I'm saying. And in fact, I find the peace learning journey most effective when, as parents, we are vulnerable and we talk about our vulnerabilities and we teach through our vulnerabilities. So we bring it up as an example and say, okay, so when this happened and so or I did this, how did that feel? Did that work or not work? And then we make certain shifts and adjustments. This is part of the conscious learning. So you're aware, you're becoming more insightful, you're gaining mindsight, and then you evolve, you develop into a deeper connection. But it's wrong when we avoid the conversation, or even being perfectionistic sometimes can be a barrier.
Sure.
So for some of you moms who are perfectionistic، اون کمالگرایی و اینکه حتما باید اینجوری باشه بعضی از اوقات به ضررتون تموم میشه. چرا؟ برای اینکه بچه‌ها یاد میگیرن که فقط اینجور میشه این کارو کرد و دیگه یاد نمیگیرن از فیلیر یا شکست یا جورای دیگه‌ای که اتفاق میفته که در دنیای بیرون این اتفاق میفته. وقتی که میرن مدرسه، وقتی که با دوستاشون هستن میبینن دوستاشون خطا میکنن، معلماشون خطا میکنن، آدم‌ها خطا میکنن و اون گریت یا رزیلینسی تشویق و پرورش پیدا نمیکنه. بنابراین a balanced view, I find it is
100%,
really
sure.
And making mistakes and talking through mistakes. And we are the generation who's going to lead with wisdom of how to use technology best in our benefit, in our humanitarian sort of growth and evolution.
Sure,
right?
of course.
Because I think we were at the point where technology sort of was handed to us, and now it's evolving for our children.
That's right.
And so it's nice to have these conversations to say, okay, so back to the entitled child or entitled parent. We're in a community where many parents are tied to their technologies. They're disconnected from their children because of technology. They feel entitled because of their positions. اینجا در لس آنجلس یک گروه از مادر و پدرها، گروهی که entitled parents هستن، به خصوص توی این مدارس خصوصی که اینو ما بیشتر میبینیم در مدارس خصوصی independent schools. و خود ماها I think I
sure.
relate to this.
Included,
We're included, right? We were just having this conversation about skiing and how we skied as opposed to how our children are skiing. I used to carry my skis for like a mile and wait in line for like sometimes an hour.
Sure.
And now, our children are more impatient. They want to have...
Well, it's our fault. It's our fault. It's our fault because we are giving it to them. We are now monetarily able to do more for them, and we don't want them to suffer. Why would you suffer? Here are some warm boots, and let me carry your skis, and let the valet take care of it, And
so do you think we should push them through to suffer, even though we have opportunities to help them have a great... This is the dilemma. So in my family, we have an option to take him to a place where they suffer the least but have the most fun and enjoy the experience. And my thinking was, okay, so because they were so young, they were 5 and 7, we started skiing. They started skiing early. I thought, okay, if they have a good experience, if they have a positive experience, then they're going to remember this and their experience is going to enhance, and it did. Now they're super excited. They love skiing. And I remember when I first started skiing, I didn't like it so much because there was a lot of suffering.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Sure.
You had to wake up early. You had to drive this long distance. I started in Iran, so this was Tehran, going to Dizin, Shemshak, and so I remember it was painful, but then I loved it. As I started developing the skills, but now I see with our children بچه‌های ما این فرصت رو دارن که خیلی راحت‌تر اسکی کردن و یاد بگیرن و خب این رو ما براشون داریم مهیا میکنیم این فرصت رو. ولی در کنارش شیرین نکته خوبی رو مطرح میکنه که اگه ما انقدر راحت و انقدر آسون بهشون این تجربیات رو بدیم، بنابراین اون بخش سخت و چالش و مشکلش که بعدن یاد میگیرن این پرکتیس رو دارن اون کجا. But maybe we can do both.
Oh, I think there's a balance. I think there's a balance. You know, we put them in ski school in Mammoth. It was a beautiful day. It was sunny, 35 degrees. It was great. They called in the middle of the day. We're miserable. The lines are so long. Please pick us up. We're miserable. Yeah. And I said, is anything hurting you? They said, no. I said, are you hungry? No. What's the matter? The lines are long. Well, you know what? Lines are long. It's like going to an amusement park, and sometimes you need to wait in the line to then enjoy that moment of exhilaration. So rough it out, and we'll see you in a few hours. And I just kind of said goodbye and hung up. Yeah. And when we picked them up, they were overjoyed. They had a spectacular day. So I think there's, a maneuvering of if they're really not in pain, if they're really not suffering, but they're just a little uncomfortable, they got to push through. They're going to have jobs, and they're going to have to write dissertations, and they're going to go to school where things are not going to be easy, and we're not going to be there. And they've got to have the tools to cope, to learn to be resilient, and to get through it. No one's torturing them. They'll be fine.
Yeah, so you know your child. You know your child. You know how much of a push they can handle. Your teachers, the kids' teachers, they know their students, and they know how much of a challenge, how much of a push they can handle. I think having those conversations, becoming more aware and conscious of what's the right push so that your child is inspired, encouraged, and can connect to their intrinsic motivation and their grit. So finding their interest, their passion, having those conversations about why you make certain decisions in life. So as a family, we make decisions all the time, right? We are the head, the mom and dad usually, or the caretakers in the family are the head. So we make decisions. Engaging them in the decision making. Why did you decide to do this?
Sure.
And help them understand so that things are not done to children, but rather they are engaged in this peace learning communication, and they have a voice. All 3 children in our family of 5 have a vote, they have a voice, and we talk about it. Sure, we are the responsible, the wise leaders, the conscious leaders, but we eat last. We are the last. Their needs are put ahead. Of course. And they're involved in the conversation.
And I think you said it perfectly. We don't want to let our children victimize themselves. And if they're engaged in the decision process, then they will take responsibility for their actions rather than saying, this happened to me. And I think the worst thing we can do is to teach our children to victimize, because then when they become victims, they again become entitled, and it's a spiral, right? And so I think that's a very good point, is to allow our children to make those decisions. Give them those tools to make the right decisions.
Yeah. We usually talk about culture. We integrate culture into our Mom Talk conversation. So let's talk about culture in the context of the Persian, the Iranian culture, and how this all plays out.
Well, I think مادرای ایرانی یه کمی با بچه ها, we're a little bit more apt to, we're not as strict, maybe. I'm not sure how you would say that in Farsi, but we're more apt to kind of give in to our children because of the deep love of our culture to be these caretakers, to nurture and to love. And so I think there is a lot from our culture to be learned from the Western culture.
So مادرای ایرانی, اینجوری که من میشنوم, what I hear you say, مادرای ایرانی دلرحم هستن و سختگیریایی رو که شاید بعضی از اوقات تو بعضی از فرهنگ‌های دیگه ما میبینیم که با باوندریای یه خورده structured تر و مشخص تر, با یه مرز و حد و مرز و روابط یه خورده سختگیر و یه خورده دیسیپلین بیشتر هست, شاید اینو کمتر میبینیم. I have to say, it also relates to the upbringing of those parents, because
Sure.
even within our culture, I work with a lot of families. I see families who were raised by more disciplined parents. Sometimes they have more tendency, or they're more likely to be more disciplined. Or sometimes it works the other way, because they were so disciplined, now they're really
Relaxed,
lenient
right.
and relaxed. So having that conversation, I think before having children, these are really peace learning conversations that you need to have when you decide you are going to parent. Or let's say you don't have children, but you're coaching or you're a teacher. I think as a caretaker of children, it's really important to know where you stand on the spectrum of discipline. And discipline meaning teaching. Okay, so discipline, the translation of the word to disciple, to teach, has always been teaching. However, in some families, discipline equates punishment. بنابراین دیسیپلین یا سختگیری این نیست که ما یه بچه‌ای رو داریم تنبیه میکنیم یا داریم از طریق تنبیه و یا پانیشمنت بهش یاد میدیم که اینجوری باید باشی، بلکه در دیسیپلین و یا یادگیری، دیسیپلین مساوی است با آموزش و پرورش. در آموزش و پرورش بهشون داریم صلح آموزی، پرورش صلح و جوری که رابطه با خودشون دارن و اون intrinsic motivation، انگیزه درونی. That's key. And in our culture, one thing that I have noticed is the emphasis on extrinsic motivation.
Right.
So as parents, I have to catch myself because it goes back to two generations. So my grandmother, مادر بزرگ من، موقعی که مادر من مشقش رو خوب مینوشت یا نمره خوب میگرفت یا یه کار خوبی میکرد در مدرسه، همیشه او رو پاداش میداد و او رو ریوارد به قول اینجا او رو بهش یک شاید آغوشش میگرفت یا باریکلا بهش میگفت و این اون به اصطلاح مثالی هستش که وقتی که کودک، مادر من یه کاری رو میکرده که از بیرون بهش یک فیدبکی میدادن، مادر بزرگم زیاد از حد یا خیلی خوشحال میشد و او رو تشویق میکرد و به او میگفت باریکلا. خب بنابراین نه تنها مادر بزرگ، من میدونم خیلی از مادر بزرگای قدیمی و پدر بزرگا یا حتی الان نسل ماها، اینو باید بگم، تو نسل ماها من اینو خیلی میبینم با مادر پدره که اینجا در لس آنجلس هستن و سالیانی هستش که اینجا زندگی میکنن. بنابراین یک نوع اپیژنتیک، یک نوع میراث نسل به نسل هستش. من خودم اینو تو خودم همیشه باید مواظب باشم، مثل اینکه حواسم هست که اینو کمتر بکنم در خودم. و خب میبینیم دیگه وقتی که بچه در درونش اون انگیزه درونی بیرون میاد، purpose, right? معنا و اینکه چجوری میتونیم اون رو تشویق بکنیم، اون رو حمایت بکنیم، حامی اون باشیم. That is really, really, I think, the key to success in counteracting against that sense of
That's right. And how do we do that, Nelly?
Yeah, how do we do that?
How as parents,
you have to wait for my book.
No, that's a really, because you think as adults, we all want to have that, right?
Yeah.
What makes you happy from within, what gets you motivated is not here's an award for best mom of the year.
Right.
You don't get that.
Right.
So how do we teach our children to have that?
It goes back to just being human. You know, honestly, it goes back to being human. The interpersonal neurobiology of it is very clear. We have all the evidence. Like Simon Sinek was saying in his great talk. And by the way, if you have not watched Simon Sinek, I highly recommend his work. He's the bestseller of, the best seller author of Leaders Eat Last and several books. I mean, he has the top third most popular TED Talk. So if you haven't watched his TED Talk, look him up. He's amazing. Hopefully we'll have him on MomTalk one day. So I think it goes back to the human relations or the connections that we've had over the past millions of years, or as long as we can remember. It's meant to be in person, heart to heart, and face to face. And for me to know, like right now sitting next to you, that you know now that I know that you know that connection, or I feel that you feel that I feel. You feel me, you know me, I know you. And so as we get separated and disconnected from that that human connection, we fall into the trap or the issues, some of the conflicts and issues that we're facing today. So really circling back to the essence of being a human being. And Dan Siegel, he's a leader in this field. Amazing. His latest book, Mind, talks about the sort of heart and soul of this journey, this of being human. Yeah. So, you know, I think we have to be conscious, aware, and make an effort, like compromise. You can't put your child into sort of this track where they are multitasking, they are so overscheduled, and then expect them to be peaceful, to have that connection, right? Impossible. You can support them, but like right now I'm in a position where I'm supporting my daughter because she has grit. She has that passion and interest for these two things that she's doing. And so even though she is overscheduled because she loves those things and I'm supporting her, but it's meaningful to her. You know, it's not coming from an external force. Right. It's coming from interest.
And that's huge. And you know that as a mom because you are connected to your child.
Right.
So you're not just saying, I'm doing this because all the other moms are doing it. You're going to do this, this, and that because that's what everyone's doing. And I think that's the problem with this generation of moms. We all do it. We all fall into it. Oh, your kid's taking that gymnastics class. Well, mine should be too. But maybe your kid doesn't like gymnastics. So why are you driving them around and overscheduling them, you know?
So LA Mom Magazine, what's your advice to those moms?
My advice to those moms is, well, we all know not to overschedule our kids. I mean, we all know that by now. But I think my advice to those moms is, like you said, really get in depth with your child and find that one or two things you love that you're passionate about and do it. Don't have the herd mentality. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Just because all the kids are watching The Bachelor doesn't mean that your 10-year-old should be watching The Bachelor. Don't follow that herd mentality. Be strong, be a leader, and let your kids, like you said, make those decisions and follow their lead and allow them to make those decisions. I think that everyone will be so much happier.
Great advice. And hold each other as moms, because we all have our moms communities, LA Mom Magazine, MomTalk, your friends. We all talk, right? We all get together. We all, whether it's over lunch or coffee or workout, we're all constantly connecting and talking. We are connectional beings. And so when you're connecting, when you're talking, talk about these important issues. Talk about, oh my goodness, to find your child's intrinsic motivation to support and be there and listen to them and support them when they find their grit, when they find their passion, when they find their interest, to have book clubs where you're discussing Dan's latest Mind, to self-educate, to go to these seminars. I think all of this is going to help us as a community. We're going to thrive as a community if, like you say, we're not just falling into peer pressure or, and sometimes it's just false ideas. You know, I talk to many moms who falsely, they think, just because this student got into a really good middle school or high school because, you know, they did A, B, and C, that they have to do A, B, and C in order to get, and it's just false. It's a false statement.
Yeah, we're not robots. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly. No. Exactly. And if you talk to the head of schools, if you talk to educators, they'll tell you there is no equation, no formula for you to do that. So get off that train, you know?
Well, I also think it goes back to what you're saying is that we're a community. We should all be helping each other rather than be competing with one another, you know? So we're not all in competition for that one spot in that one high school, you know? We're family, you know? This is our community. This is our generation. And I think as moms, it's really important for us to know that we need to work collectively, like you were saying earlier, together, share ideas to raise this generation as a whole. Our kids are not in competition, but rather they're a community together. They're growing up together. They should make this world a better place. And it's our job as leaders of our families to teach them that and to teach them, you know what, you're not against your friends, you're working with them. You know, like when you rise, they rise, and you go down, they go down. So I think that is so important. I wish I could just make a big tabloid out there and say, we are one. Like, we need to work together and stop fighting, you know? And so,
you know, if you are interested in the game theory, or if you are interested in leadership, Simon Sinek, you know, he has a talk just focusing on this exact matter, that, you know, according to the game theory, there are finite players, and the goal is, at the end of the game, one team or one player will win and another team or another player will lose. Okay, so this is one model of a game. For example, tennis or baseball or basketball. These would be examples of a finite game or player model. Okay, there's another model, another way, and that's the infinite players. Okay, so the infinite players in this other model of game theory, there is no, it's infinite. You know, there is no end to being a winner or a loser. And this is more real, folks. I think we've as human beings, we've created this other type because it's entertaining. We love it when someone wins and someone loses, and woo, like this is our culture, right? The individualistic Western, I think, philosophies of looking at things is heavily focused on this finite modality. The infinite, this is the real deal. This is how the universe works. Infinite, right? The universe is infinite. And so when the players are infinite, when the game is infinite, when there's no end, then every player works on their best and lasting the longest, right? It's about lasting the longest and doing your best. Sure. And so if you really take that to heart and take it seriously, then you will lead as a parent very differently in your family, and you will educate your children that this is the big picture.
That
this
life is a journey.
Life is a
journey. And I think it's so important to understand that in our little world in West Side, we're so focused on, okay, you got to do this to get here, and you got to do this to get here. But what about the journey? Why don't you enjoy it? And maybe you'll stumble upon your mission in life. What are you supposed to do? It's not about X, Y, and Z, so you go to Stanford. It's just not. And I think that's the biggest problem we have as parents. We don't need a bumper sticker on our cars. We need to raise kids who are resilient and strong and are going to do good for the world. And the only way I think to really do that is to really teach them that life is a journey and enjoy the ride and live it and be present. And don't worry about taking the next honors or AP course, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't. If it makes you happy, do it. But do it because inside it truly makes you happy to take the class, not because if you take 4 APs, then your chances of getting into Harvard are then 20% higher. I mean, I think it's just all wrong. And I wish I had a big eraser so I could erase it all, because it really upsets me. Yeah, I love Malika Chopra's sort of position on this, and when she talks about her book, Living with Intent, the why behind what we do, okay? The why behind what we do. So Malika practices this herself. So as a mom, and her father, Deepak Chopra, and mom, they practice this with her. So this is where you see peace learning parenting being sort of passed on generation to generation to generation. There's that intergenerational bliss and beauty in this. It's valuable, folks. So people experience more peace. And don't you want to have more peace? So when you really think about it, when you close your eyes and think about what's really the most important thing for me or my family in this time and place, really it comes down to feeling peace, feeling inner peace. Sure. It's not the kind of car I drive, it's not the kind of house or ring I have, it's the kind of peace I feel inside of me. Yes. And so if your intent is that, the why, and really teaching children that at very young age, I mean, these are school age, elementary school kids who can understand, to pay attention to the why behind their actions. Yep. So why are you studying? Why are you in school? Why are you, paying attention to sportsmanship? Right. Why are you doing this? Why are you team play? So those whys become then the glue that bonds them into being soul leaders and moving humanity forward. Right, and then it takes away all the problems that our kids are facing with anxiety and depression. My pediatrician was saying to me that he has more people coming in now, kids, parents of private school kids, who want prescriptions, to calm and ease their children because they're so high strung. We don't want that for our children. Right. We want the peace that you're talking about. And the only way to get that peace, again, is, like you said, answer those questions of why you're here. Be present. Live with intent.
Yeah.
If we don't live with intent, we're not going to have peace. We're going to end up with a generation of high anxiety, depressed kids without any leaders. We won't have any leaders.
And the environment, as Simon Sinek very well describes this, the environment, محیط همونقدر مسئول هستش که ما به عنوان مادر و پدر مسئول هستیم. بنابراین محیطی رو مهیا بسازیم، محیطی رو به وجود بیاریم برای کودکان در خانواده، در مدرسه، در کامیونیتی، جامعه، که اون محیط ساپورت بکنه، حامی باشه برای اینکه اونها بتونن این گونه زندگی بکنن. اگر من رئیس کمپانی هستم که فقط به ارقام و اینکه چقدر پول درآوردم و چقدر به اصطلاح برنده هستم در یک دیل فکر میکنم، اونجا هستش که اون لیدر، اون رهبر مردمش رو یا کارمنداش رو یا کسانی که در اونجا محیطش کار میکنند رو به اصطلاح he or she has let them down, right? این اون مواقعی هستش که ما در هر پوزیشنی، همونطور که گفتم، ما به عنوان مادر و پدر یا دو کسی که بچه رو نگهداری میکنن یا هر کسی که بچه ها رو نگهداری میکنه، آموزش و پرورش یا خانواده، مسئول هستیم. اون رهبر هستیم، اون پیشرو هستیم که این دانه های رشد در به اصطلاح صلح درون و اینکه بچه ها انگیزه درونیشون رو پیدا بکنن و بتونن با اون عشق و علاقه در انگیزه درونی یک کار مثبت، یک کار خوب برای جامعه مهیا بکنن یا به وجود بیارن. So we are the generation who's responsible to not only address this issue of entitlement with our children and also be aware of it within ourselves, because we do live in a community or an environment, like Simon says, that cultivates that sense of entitlement, right? I mean, we go to private schools, we go to these places and meetings and events and galas and fundraisers, and there is that sense of entitlement amongst us. You know, you want to believe it or not, it is. It's there. I see it at the PA meetings. I see it all the time. So being conscious of that, catch ourselves, take a deep breath, and move forward with that leadership, conscious leadership, soul leadership responsibility, that leaders eat last. Leaders, good leaders, thrive and help their people thrive and feel good and do good for the community. Okay? It's not about who's the head and who's on top. No. So as a family member, as a mom and dad, it's not about احترام. برای اینکه تو فرهنگ ما، تو کالچر ما، باید احترام سر جاش هست، ریسپکت سر جاش هست، ولی قدرت استفاده نمیشه توی یک رهبری و لیدرشپ درست. اون authoritative approach امروزه دیگه کار نمیکنه. You have to be a soul leader, which means you have to be conscious and aware how to bring out the best into the people you are leading. So if you're leading LA Mom Magazine, if I'm leading Mom Talk, it's my duty and responsibility to bring out the best in all you. It's not about me, it's about you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay? Absolutely. And I think that because we're so blessed and feeling entitled, I think we need to teach our kids a lot of compassion because we have the ability to give back in so many ways that we can't lose sight of the fact that our kids are going to actually be extremely compassionate because they have so much and they see how much good they can do for the world. I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of that because this next generation has the ability to repair the world, essentially. And so if we don't teach them compassion at a young age, I'm talking from the womb, they're born, and you start to teach them deeds, good deeds, and little, you know, compassion.
And not to expect them to be compassionate all the time because there is an age and stage of development with all of this, okay? So your 2-year-old بچه 2 ساله اصلا انقدر ایگوسنتریکه و انقدر تو دنیای درونشه که نمیتونه ببینه که اوکی الان من باید اون دوستم که حالا میخواد شن بازی بکنه یا با اسباب بازی من بازی بکنه این رو براش کامپشن داشته باشم، اسباب بازیمو بهش بدم و اگه داره گریه میکنه. البته اینو میبینیم بعضی از اوقات بچه‌ها یه تندنسیایی دارن. I see this all the time. So in observing children یه بچه‌ای رو میبینین که خیلی بیشتر امپاتی داره، میره ناز میکنه، بغل میکنه، و یه بچه‌ای که بیشتر تو خودش هستش و کمتر نوتیس میکنه. بنابراین این ظریف کاری ها هم در پیس لرنینگ خیلی مهمه بهش توجه بکنیم. بچه‌ها با یک انگیزه، با یک تندنسی، با یک گرایش هایی به دنیا میان، تمپرمنت. ولی بخش دیگه‌اش این هستش که به عنوان یک مادر و پدر مسئول در این پرورش صلح یا پیس لرنینگ بدونیم کدوم بچه به چه نوع حمایت و چه نوع تشویقی احتیاج داره. شاید اون بچه‌ای که بیشتر تو خودش هستش و این بچه‌ها معمولاً بیشتر سراغ تکنولوژی میرن. اگر دقت بکنین بچه‌هایی که مقدار بیشتر structured هستن و یه خورده ریجیدیتی توشون بالا هستش، اینا regulated هستن، خیلی منظم هستن، ولی کانکشنشون با دنیای بیرونشون یه خورده ضعیف‌تره. بنابراین چجوری این بچه‌ها رو کمک کنیم که to get plugged in، کانکت بکنن، ولی به دیوایس یا این گیمایی که بازی میکنن. من با خانواده‌ای کار میکنم که شاید این سوشال میدیا یا گیمینگ اندستری بچه‌هاشون رو کمک کرده، چرا که میتونن رابطه برقرار بکنن با دوستاشون و اگه خود خجالتی تر باشن، اگه خود ریجید تر باشن در حضور، این کارا براشون مشکل تر باشه. این از این طریق دارن این روابط، رفتارهای اجتماعی توشون تشویق. اون خوبه، ولی بازم کانشسلی یا با awareness اونها رو educate بکنیم و حد و محدودیت بذاریم. از اون 80% که شاید از تکنولوژی بنفیت و یا استفاده بکنن، 20% ممکنه ریسک باشن. این یه مقدار چیز میخواد، یه مقدار دقت میخواد، ظرافت میخواد به عنوان یه مادر و پدری که کانشسن، اویرن، میدونن بچهشون چه نوع بچه‌ایه. اون ببینن چجوری حالا تکنولوژی رو چه موقعی استفاده بکنه، چه موقعی نکنه، یا معلمی که این رو میدونه. و این خب خیلی در این آموزش و پرورش صلح و به خصوص در دنیایی که برای آینده میخوایم بچه‌هایی که این احساسات entitlement، این احساساتی که احساس میکنن اونها چی میگن، لغت entitlement
entitled spoiled
فکر میکنن همه چی مال اونها هستش، یا مالکیت، احساس مالکیت میکنن، right؟ که من شاید خودشیفتن یا احساس مالکیت درشون بالا. اونو میخوایم کم بکنیم. میخوایم بچه‌ها مسئول باشن، مسئولانه رفتار بکنن، با صلح یا نگاه و دید ظریف صلح تصمیم بگیرن، انتخاب بکنن و لید بکنن، راهبری بکنن. این اون چیزی هستش که ما به عنوان مادرای امروزه یا مادرای شاید مامتاک یا مادرایی که کانشس پرنتینگ رو تمرین میکنیم، LA Mom Magazine Moms کامیونیتی هایی که با هم لایک مایندد هستن و همدیگر رو سپورت میکنن و حمایت میکنن، در کنار هم این رو میخوایم یه خورده تشویق بکنیم و جلو ببریم. Great conversation today, Shirin.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. I learn so much from you every time I sit with you. And I think I can't wait to read your book.
Awesome.
Get your book out there and then spread the joy with all these moms.
We love you. It was a great Mom Talk conversation. LA Mom Magazine, don't miss it. Go online, join the community. Until next time.